Edyta Sitar from Laundry Basket Quilts. Welcome to Quilting Window. Today I would love to review with you one of my favorite books. The book is Little Handful of Scraps. Oh, what a treasure! This book has 32 beautiful patterns in it and a sprinkle of some wonderful antique quilts as an inspiration. Do you know, in the past and today, many times doll quilts and small quilts are used as a learning experiences for children or adults. And I love making doll quilts. With many of them, I learn a lot of fun techniques and I can try something fun and exciting. And I don't have to commit to a big project. So doll quilts are maybe something you want to try it too. Let's look at through some of those pages. At the beginning of the book, like I said, we have a sprinkle of antique quilts. Oh, what a beautiful inspiration. And there's some of my little quilts that I have made for my household as well. I love browsing through those pages and get inspired, don't you? Then we move on to Time to Quilt. With those pages, you will find a beautiful pattern, and each pattern has a picture that complements that little quilt. Those pictures are antique pictures of children. Some of them are from our family members. I absolutely love looking through the pages of this book. Each little quilt is named after somebody that I either know or met or it has been on my mind lately. This is a wonderful, wonderful treasure. Oh, 32 patterns? This is amazing. How many fun different things we can try it. Let's look at some of the quilts. I'm going to start with the antique ones. Those are such a cute little treasure. Look at simple patches put together. What a sweet little quilt. Oh, maybe this beautiful quilt with a 4-patch. What a treasure. Notice that cute little border in red and a little sashing in blues. Oh, beautiful. Those uneven patches definitely tell the story that a beginner was working on this quilt. A crazy quilting, perfect for little doll quilt. Oh, I love those quilts. This was one of the first one that I ever purchased, this little antique quilt. Notice the little 9 patches right here, a pink for a little setting. What a beautiful little piece of a border. Someone really enjoyed putting the fabrics together for this one. The other quilts that I have right here, the few of them, are just few little things that I have around my house. And notice with this star, I have learned that my strips were not long enough. I had to get an extra diamond to make that 8-point star. Oh, what a good lesson. 3 orphan star block became a beautiful little doll quilt. Do you play with your doll quilts or you only display them around the house? I like to do both. Play with my little friends or display them. They look beautiful on a coffee table. And you know, I have learned with time that if I make one block, it's perfect for a little quilt. But sometimes I can repeat more and then get a little bit larger quilt. Oh, let's start with the quilts that we have patterns for it. This one has little 4 patches in the center and then a beautiful little stars. Notice the points are cut off on those stars. I did that on purpose. I wanted to have a little bit room and not so pointy. Sometimes things are a little bit easier to do when there's a smooth little transition and it feels like the stars are holding together. It feels like a Milky Way to me around the little 4 patches. Tiny little pink basket. What a treasure. And I love the little handle on it. I did the handle using a fusible applique. I used a bias tape maker and I used the little fusible tape with it. Oh, adorable. Just adorable. And remember that antique quilt with that little 9-patch? I made one myself. And I love that I was able to fussy cut a little bit of the squares. And I have a bird and a beautiful rose right there in the center. The quilt behind me was a treasure to make. But before I dive into making this beautiful stars upon stars, I needed to practice one block. Little doll quilts are perfect for that, like I said. So I did one block, notice my little pink star surrounding, and learn with this star block and this little quilt that way how to press my seam allowance is not always the way that I want to do it. Maybe sometimes you need to open the seam allowance to get a best transition on your points. What a good lesson. Light, simple squares with a tiny bit of sashing and a cornerstone, another cute little quilt. And notice for the binding I used the big print. How delightful. It gave me a lot of fun color and it feels just perfect for this project. If you have not done a wool applique, and you wanted to try it, this little sweetheart is perfect for it. Oh, I love appliquing these little flowers and just using a silk thread and little whip stitch to go around the edges. And wool applique is so forgiving because the thread just sinks into the edges. All the little leftover strips from my log cabin, light and dark, have made it into this quilt. And speaking of log cabin, that you can put those strips right into those little mini log cabin blocks, and notice the pink center, how nice it look, and a border only on two sides, and notice the pink, I brought it also to the binding to give a little accent to it. This is a really nice trunk show of quilts that we have here. Like I said, 32 patterns to go through it. A simple Ohio star, just practicing those quarter square triangles and making them really nice, spinning that center, adding a little yellow sashing, cute little triangle border on each side, and a binding makes this quilt. And this one I named it after my husband Michael. Oh, there is my Delphina. Look at those little triangles set in on point with a sashing. How delightful. But now crinkle your eyes and notice the secondary design that these beautiful triangles are making. I went to visit my mom this summer and she was working on some little quilts. I think she's hooked on that little handful of scraps. It gives her perfect practice using strips for your background and piecing all the little handful of scraps, all the little leftovers, and then appliquing your wool. Perfect for this little quilt. It gives a little bit extra interest to it. Oh, the blue sashing on this little 9 patches is the star of attention. I didn't have enough of the same fabric for sashing and then border, so I use 1, 2, 3 different blues in a similar shade, and I followed the rule of 5. Little print, medium print, large print, and all of those reflects in this little bit of a sashing. When you're following rule of 5, it's big, medium, small, stripe, polka dot. You want to vary the different prints if you're putting things together. It's going to make your quilt look nice and fun. I filled this basket full of applique shapes, leaves and branches, and I fussy cut a little bit of a flower. This calls broderie applique. Perfect practice project. A smaller project are always nice. Remember antique quilt that I show you with the red border, blue sashing, and a little 4 patches? Oh, mine came out just right. I must have practiced them just quite a bit. If you don't want to applicate the handle on a basket, with this quilt you learn how to just piece your handles and make a cute little baskets. This one is named after Jane. And Jane, I love this quilt. It has sawtooth star and applique put together and a touch of blue. I think and Jane loves blue, and this is a perfect one for her. And a little mini butterfly. How can you go wrong for a doll quilt with a tiny little pink butterflies? Maybe you have a little friend that likes to come over and visit you for a cup of tea. Pull up some pink scraps and see if she would like to trace some butterflies with you, and both of you could spring your wings and fly in applique. Oh, maybe you like to make tiny little half square triangles, piece them together and collect them. Why not make an ocean wave full of them? This is adorable quilt. I'm definitely making this one as a large quilt. This was so much fun. And a little bit of leftover half square triangle end up in this beautiful quilt. Many times, I'm gonna pull this one back. When I'm making little quilts, I make my triangles on a triangle paper and then put them in a basket. So I'm ready for another design. I will go ahead and pull it just out of my basket. So notice all the half square triangle through all the quilts are the same size, so you can use them in a multiple projects and enjoy it. Or maybe you want to do some fabric exchange with your friends for little quilts, and go ahead, grab some cute little triangles and exchange. You will fall in love with them and create a sweet little medallion quilt. This one calls Christina. It's named after my mama. Oh, she just loves quilting. My mom lives in Poland and she just learned how to quilt a few years ago, and she is just loving it, every bit of it. No scraps get lost in her house. Every single bit of fabric, she puts it nicely together, and look at those strips. Those are perfect inspiration for some of her projects. Those beautiful butterflies, you can do them also in another color. I grab some batiks and make that same design in those. It looks so adorable. Sometimes if you want to try a new block, like I said, and you're planning to use it for a border, just putting that first practice block just to see how it looks, how it feels. This is going to be perfect, or do I need to make the design a little bit bigger? I like this size. It came out so nice and it just feels beautiful in a quilt. And notice, did you see I used my blue scraps and an accent with an orange? I pulled the colors from this fabric right here, where I have the blues and really nice oranges right there. I like doing that. And that log cabin block, again, just tiny little sweetheart, spin, turn and toss, create a secondary design of a star. Little handful of scraps are maybe perfect for you to celebrate next 4th of July with it. Look at this little sweetheart, how beautiful. I hope you enjoy that little review of little handful of scraps quilts, and I hope you grab someone with you, pull up your scraps and start making little quilts. Remember, if you can make a one, you can make a dozen, and you end up with a beautiful, beautiful project. No matter what, it always will be a lesson. Either you like it or it's time to try something new. And with 32 beautiful projects from our little handful of scraps, there's so much to choose from. Thank you so much for tuning in and visiting with us. We love quilting with you. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please visit our website at laundrybasketquilts.com. Happy quilting!